Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing house books. For those who are unaware, especially foreign nationals, in Thailand, there is, I call it sort of an ongoing census system. They utilize what's called a house registration book system here in Thailand, wherein people that are born, for example, in Thailand, if you're a child, you're going to be put in the house book of your family. And generally speaking, there's what's called a Ban, which is the head of the house. They're the person that sort of maintains and keeps the house book up. And sometimes you may need to use them as like a guarantor or something if you're doing something that requires documentation specifically associated with your house book here in Thailand. So a house book, there's really no analog to it in the American system. But it's a house registration book. It's got your address on there, your legal address for purposes of legal service. House book oftentimes will be utilized for that. It's a very important document. It's arguably the key identity document in Thailand, even more fundamental than even the Thai ID card. The Thai ID card, as I've talked about in other videos, the Thai ID card kind of wraps together about 6 different identification documents, including the house registration books, and puts it all on this one card. But yeah, house registration books are extremely important. I thought of making this video after reading a recent comment on a prior video we did talking about digital currency. Quoting directly, "The whole scheme is bonkers, crazy, and unworkable. One of the key issues, aside from the devaluing of currency and inflationary issues, is that of only being able to spend within 4 kilometers of your registered address." And a registered address is your house book address. So the reason this is important is there's a lot of people in Thailand that don't actually live at their registered address, especially people who are from provinces outside the city here in Bangkok, up country, for example. Those folks oftentimes will have their legal address up country, but they may be living in Bangkok, Pattaya, Hua Hin, Phuket, Chiang Mai. They may be going to one of the city centers to work primarily, but their legal address is back at their home address. Quoting further, "Literally millions of Thais have registered addresses in rural Thailand, but live and work in Bangkok. How will they be able to spend this money?" And what money is he talking about here? Well, I went ahead and went over to, we talked about it in other videos, but I want to go ahead and go over here to Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, "PM Orders Sweeping Review of Taxes." Very interesting video, a lot of information in there, but more to the point, quoting directly, "The government will use Krung Thai Bank's Pao Tang app for its digital wallet project. The app will be integrated with blockchain technology," Mr. Sreda said. Sreda is the prime minister. "After a policy briefing session with finance ministry executives last week." Quoting further, he confirmed that the government has an adequate budget to fund this project, which requires 560 billion baht. Yeah, that's because the debt to GDP ratio was pushed up. I've discussed that in other videos. Quoting further, "And further clarification on the project's details would be announced within 10 days. This is more to the point with regard to this video, though. "The 4-kilometer radius restriction is to stimulate local economies and prevent an overconcentration of income in urban areas. The digital currency could be used to purchase various daily necessities, but a list of these items has yet to be determined." A lot of stuff going on with that. First of all, this 4-kilometer radius. If it's from a lot of Thai folks' house book, there's some folks, another commenter brought up the fact that, look, in upcountry Thailand, it's very possible that there isn't a place to spend money using this app within 4 kilometers. You know, it's very easy to have a couple miles expanse between the next town and whatever village someone may actually live at or have their house registration book at. Meanwhile, there's going to be a list of items that they can buy. I don't even understand how you can call this currency at the end of the day. How is it money if you can't spend it outside of a given area and if you can only spend it on certain things? How is that money? You know, I just, all of this CBDC stuff, every time they try to kind of, and by they, the sort of media, the narrative, whatever, folks talking about it in the positive, they always kind of gloss over all of this, like, oh, this isn't such a big deal. You shouldn't be overly worried about this. And then meanwhile, they just say stuff offhand like, oh yeah, you can't spend your money more than 4 kilometers away from your house. And there's going to be a list of items that you can spend it on. Does anyone remember communism? I mean, wasn't that the deal? Where your money wasn't really all that any good. It was just kind of vouchers that could only be used in certain places. I remember watching the show The Americans in the later seasons where they showed one of the characters who had worked at the Russian embassy in America went back to the Soviet Union, and he was sort of living his life, but they showed that like different strata of society could go and were able to use their money at different commissaries. So if you were like part of the nomenclatura, you got to go use the really nice commissary. But if you were not part of that, you were just some person who was just a standard, one of the workers of the world holding hands and singing Kumbaya in the old Soviet Union, you had to go to this other commissary that wasn't so great. Point being, when you start getting these schemes out there where money is going to be something that you can only spend in this vicinity and you can only spend on these things, to say nothing of the arguments that it's there is no other word. To my mind, it's very tyrannical to impose that on people. But also, I mean, explain to me how this is different than the old Soviet system. I don't see where it's different, is my point. And these are the exact things that people that have serious qualms about CBDCs are concerned about, that they can only be used in a certain location, and they can only be used to buy what they say, what the government says you're able to buy. So again, sort of in conclusion to all of this, I fail to see why this is a great idea. And then meanwhile, it factors into the issue of house books because, again, what happens if you have a house book that's up in some place where there is nothing within a 4-kilometer radius where you can go use that digital wallet? What happens to you then? Are you just up a creek and you just can't do anything with it? I don't know. We'll certainly keep folks updated on this channel, on this situation as it evolves.